On June 9, 2026, Anthropic released the most capable AI model the public had ever been allowed to touch. 72 hours later, the United States government was drafting the order that would switch it off. Not slow it down. Not restrict it, switch it off worldwide. This is the story of Claude Fable 5. It's partly a story about benchmarks, and it is a genuinely remarkable model. But mostly, it's a story about control. Who gets the raw model? Who gets the safeguarded one? And who, it turns out, can turn the whole thing off. 22 days, that's the whole arc. Launched, benchmarked, jailbroken, banned, negotiated, and brought back. No AI release had ever compressed that much drama into 3 weeks. Chapter 1. The two-tier bet. Anthropic didn't release one model, it released the same model twice. Fable 5 for everyone, wrapped in new safety classifiers. And Mythos 5, the same underlying weights with the guardrails lifted, reserved for vetted cyber defenders working with the US government under Project Glasswing. The mechanic is the interesting part. When Fable detects a risky request, cybersecurity, biology, or attempts to copy the model itself, it doesn't refuse. A separate classifier hands your question to Opus 4.8, an older, safer model, and tells you it did. Anthropic says more than 95% of sessions never see a fallback at all. None of this came cheap. $10 per million input tokens, 50 per million out. That's twice the price of Opus 4.8. And the most expensive major model on the market, even though Anthropic points out it's less than half what the preview version cost. And there was a catch for subscribers. Fable was included in paid plans for exactly 13 days. After June 22nd, it would cost extra. Frontier capability at frontier prices. Chapter 2. What it can actually do. Start with Stripe. 50 million lines of Ruby. A codebase-wide migration their engineers had budgeted more than 2 months for. Fable 5 did it in a day. Their words, it compresses months of engineering into days. The benchmarks back it up. On SWE Bench Pro, 80.3%, more than 20 points clear of GPT 5.5. On Cognition's hardest agentic coding eval, it doubles its own predecessor. Independent reviewers landed in the same place. Simon Willison called it a beast, slow, expensive, and happily churning through everything he threw at it. His verdict on its depth of knowledge, possibly the largest model any vendor has ever shipped. The odd talents matter too. Fable beat Pokemon Fire Red using vision alone, no helper tools, something no previous Claude managed even with scaffolding. Give it a notes file and it plays the long game. In the deck builder Slay the Spire, persistent memory tripled its improvement over Opus, and it holds 1 million tokens of context without losing the thread. And the raw version went further. Mythos 5 ran autonomous protein design that matched skilled human operators, choosing binding sites, running the tools, recovering from its own failures. It produced a novel hypothesis about an E. coli protein that an independent lab later corroborated. It even trained a genomics model spanning 138 species that beat a published one 100 times its size. That's not autocomplete, that's research. Chapter 3. The Switch Off. Friday evening, June 12th. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sends Anthropic a letter. Suspend access to Fable and Mythos for every foreign national on Earth, including Anthropic's own employees. There's no way to comply with that surgically, so Anthropic pulled the plug on everyone. The White House said a trusted partner had jailbroken Fable's guardrails, that Anthropic was asked to fix it or pull the model, and that its CEO refused. Anthropic called it a narrow potential jailbreak, said the same capability was already available in rival models, and warned that this standard would halt every frontier launch in the industry. Then reporters found the fingerprints. According to the Wall Street Journal, the trusted partner was Amazon, Anthropic's biggest investor, its main cloud provider. Amazon researchers reportedly showed officials that Fable could produce cyber attack usable information, and the ban followed. The timing could hardly have been worse. Anthropic had just filed confidentially for an IPO, disclosing a $47 billion revenue run rate and a valuation near $1 trillion. It was also 2 years into a running feud with the administration. The Pentagon had already designated the company a supply chain risk, and Anthropic was suing over it. Now its flagship product was dark, worldwide, indefinitely. And here's the twist the industry couldn't stop talking about. One day after launch, Dario Amodei published an essay arguing governments should hold legal authority to block or reverse unsafe frontier models. He compared regulators to Treebeard, the wise but ponderous tree giant of Middle-earth, too slow for the pace of AI. 2 days later, that exact power was used against his own company. As Forbes put it, this week, Treebeard moved fast. Chapter 4: The Quiet Comeback. The fix wasn't technical, it was diplomatic. Co-founder Tom Brown quietly replaced Amodei at the negotiating table, and the next letter from Commerce was addressed to Brown. June 26, Lithos returned for trusted U.S. organizations. June 30th, the controls lift. July 1st, Fable is back worldwide. But the rules had changed. OpenAI launched its next models days later to a small group of trusted partners first, under a new executive order asking labs to submit models for government review, and publicly said it hoped that process would not become the default. Meanwhile, executives warned that every week of blackout was a gift to fast-rising, far cheaper Chinese open-source models. Nobody wants to be the next 3-week blackout. So how good is Fable 5 really? Independent security testing found a model that's brilliant and messy, mid-table at writing secure code, record levels of benchmark memorization, and 4 fixes no AI had ever managed. But the lasting story isn't a score, it's the precedent. The most powerful model you can buy now ships with 2 tiers of trust and a regulator in the loop. The frontier didn't just get smarter this summer, it got a switch.